The week before Thanksgiving always made me uneasy, and not because of work. After 12 years leading Northline Strategy, that part ran on instinct. What unsettled me was knowing I'd soon be seated at my parents' table again, carving turkey while everyone dissected what they saw as my lack of ambition. My assistant Tamsin tried to rescue me. "Miss Ellison, you're closing Barton Steel next week. $300 million. You don't need this trip." But family is family, even when they cling to an easier version of you. That version froze in place 8 years ago, back when I really was an executive assistant. I joined Weldon and Company to study how firms attract clients, structure engagements, and assess risk. Classrooms teach theory, but copy rooms, they teach physics. When relatives asked what I did, I'd say organizational consulting. It quickly morphed into Lena answers phones. Correcting them felt delusional, so I stopped trying. Quietly, I built a company that would one day employ half the people they bragged about. This year felt different. Northline had just been named Firm of the Year, with 15 offices and 2,400 employees. Or maybe I was just done mistaking pity for affection. Bellevue looked the same as ever, the colonial house framed by dormant hydrangeas. I arrived at 3, casserole in hand. Mom opened the door, eyes full of concern. "Lena, you look exhausted. Are they paying you enough?" The living room walls were still lined with triumphs. Mark's Harvard diploma, Ava's white coat. Dad lifted his glass. "There she is, our little secretary. How's the office?" "Busy," I said. "You should think about getting an MBA," Mark suggested. Ava added, "or maybe move beyond reception work." I sliced my turkey into neat strips and smiled. "Maybe it's time for some changes," I said. They circled in, full of good intentions and sharper opinions. Uncle Ray swore by civil service. Aunt Mara praised pensions. Dad cleared his throat. "A signal. You're 30, Lena. You can't drift forever." I kept my expression calm, pulse steady. "You're right," I said. Agreement startled him more than defiance. Dinner moved forward on polished rails. Mark's fund closed another $1 billion. Ava's cath lab unveiled a breakthrough. The twins compared offer letters. When focus returned to me, I offered bland truths, client relations, project schedules, because the full story always sounded like bragging to people who preferred me small. The night ended with foil-wrapped leftovers, and Dad's satisfied pat on my shoulder, as if he guided a lost boat safely ashore. The next morning, I was at Northline by 6. Tamsin brought espresso. Final read on Calder? Calder Manufacturing, Dad's company, had approached us months earlier. Our analysis exposed the decay, redundant layers, stalled approvals, capital leaking into outdated systems. Restructuring would only delay the inevitable. An acquisition could save the current. By Sunday night, partners were briefed. By Monday morning, the ink was dry. At 10 a.m. Pacific, the press release went live. Northline Strategy acquires Calder Manufacturing in a $2.8 billion deal. Operational overhaul. Job secured. At 10:47, my father called. I watched the sunlight ripple across Elliott Bay as I answered. "Lena," he said, his voice thin. "Someone just sent a memo. Says we've been bought out by Northline." "That's you." "That's us," I said. "But you're a secretary there." I answered. Paper rustled on his end. On mine, the city breathed on, steady and unbothered. He read slowly, like learning a new language. "Lena Ellison, founder and chief executive officer." Silence widened. A brand new room in an old house. "Tell me this isn't a joke." "It isn't," I said. "Dad, we should talk." I invited them over. They arrived at noon, my mother clutching her purse like armor. I poured coffee, pointed to the name etched on the glass wall. Northline Strategy. "I owe you 12 years, Dad said quietly. "Of listening." "We both do," Mom whispered. I outlined what would happen at Calder. No layoffs, new systems, a streamlined chain of approvals. "Your team's knowledge is essential," I told him. "I'd like you to co-chair the transition. It's a promotion, not pity." He blinked, then nodded, like an engineer confirming a measurement. I can do that. We spoke through the missing years, the apartment office, the first client, the expansion to London, to Singapore. I kept the tone plain. I wasn't chasing their pride, just sharing the truth. As they stood to leave, Dad brushed his hand along the conference table, testing the reality of it. "Lena," he said, voice unsteady, "no more advice from me unless you ask. I'm sorry for making you smaller, so I could feel sure of the world." "Thank you," I said, "and when we're together, I'm just your daughter." "Deal, deal," he said. That weekend, we gathered again in Bellevue. Same house, new understanding. Mark hugged me longer than usual. Ava asked real questions and waited for the answers. When Dad began introducing me to Uncle Ray as, "This is my daughter who," he paused, smiled, and finished, "is bringing dessert," we laughed. I took the pecan pie from the oven and placed it beside the turkey. The old story slid off the table like a name card after dinner. Later, as dishes were cleared, my phone buzzed with a London update. I silenced it. "Everything all right?" Mom asked. "Everything's good." I said, "We can talk business tomorrow." That night, I carved Listen and Belonged, finally and fully as myself.